Welcome to Central News. I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, wastewater overflows are the subject of the Tauranga City Council's latest campaign. The Tauranga City Council is asking the public to think about what they are flushing down the toilet and to not wash hot oil down the sink to prevent blockages in the city's sewer systems that could lead to wastewater overflow. The Council's Pollution Prevention Officer Toby Barrack says if there is a wastewater overflow in the harbour, this can result in health risks and a ban from entering the affected area.
So things are definitely improving. We've seen a really good improvement in wastewater overflows or reduction over recent years, and that's great. But there are still ongoing problems, and we really want to let the public know that it's important to reduce those numbers even further so we can really protect that valuable asset in the harbour that we've got on our doorstep.
Priority One's business case campaign has had interest from national and international businesses over the summer period. The campaign is aimed at established businesses to relocate to the Bay of Plenty to encourage economic growth in the region. Priority One's Chief Executive Andrew Cocker says the interest over the summer has been substantial and may see at least 2 big businesses move their production and offices here.
Well, again, in the city centre, we're seeing a lot of potential development happening here. For a start, the hotel project is well underway, with the City Council having put out a request to developers and hotel chains for expressions of interest, and that gained a strong response from 2 contenders, and one of those has been chosen now to go to due diligence on a site in the city centre for an international hotel. It's public knowledge that's the Tainui Group, who have a strong partnership with Accor. So I think they're looking at the moment to see established a Travelodge. So for us, that's a coming-of-age piece of infrastructure that we just don't have here that other cities do.
A survey of the lower Kaituna River and Maketu estuary will begin this week to improve what's known about the river mouth's depth, salinity and currents. Surveyors will be working from boats, jet skis or on foot during the survey that starts on March the 20th. Senior Land Management Officer Pim De Monchi says a radio-controlled boat would be used to gauge the flow through the mouth of the estuary. Measuring instruments will be in the water for a month and a small plane will survey shallow waters. The council wants the information to help work out whether more water from the Kaituna River can be rediverted to its original course into the Onga Toro Maketu estuary to improve the estuary's health. The health of the estuary has been severely degraded since Te Tumu Cut was put in for flood protection in 1957. The process for appointing a group of experts to assist with the development of policy aimed at helping restore and protect the health and well-being of the Waikato and Waipa rivers has been signed off by the Waikato Regional Council. Dubbed the Technical Alliance, the multidisciplinary group will provide technical advice to the Health Rivers Plan for Change project. The project, which marks a step change in the Council's approach to policy formulation, involves the Council and its Waikato and Waipa River iwi partners working with stakeholders to develop changes to the regional plan aimed at restoring and protecting the health of the 2 rivers. Now for our region's weather, Hamilton, your Wednesday will be mainly fine with light winds. Your expected high is 21 and an overnight low of 9. Tauranga, your Wednesday will become fine with the southerly dying out. Your expected high is 21 and an overnight low of 13. Just ahead, what is happening in the Tauranga Harbour? Welcome to Central News on TV Central. The Tauranga Harbour Symposium was held recently to find out what the latest research is in the harbour and who is doing what. I found out what was discussed and what information came out of the event when I spoke with Chairman John Cronin. So who attended the symposium?
Oh well, about 130 people. There was all the harbour care groups, students, the university, Harbour Watch, everybody that uses the harbour, so they attended.
What was the aim of the Tauranga Harbour Symposium?
Well, the aim is very much to educate or tell the people what we're doing. There's always a lack of knowledge of what we're doing around the harbour, and it is one of the most important parts of Tauranga, that it is our harbour, it's our jewel, whereas the lakes are Rotorua's jewel. Tauranga Harbour is our jewel, and we wanted to make harness all the efforts and showcase all the efforts that have been done within our harbour.
Why does the Bay of Plenty Regional Council feel that it's important that they hold events like this?
Well, it's disseminating knowledge. It's one of our core functions, and it's just getting knowledge to the people.
So after the symposium, what do we know about the Tauranga Harbour?
Well, we know that it's that we are getting some taints like sea lettuce. We know that it is the gill. We know that we can clean it up, we're feeling well up to date with all the sciences relating to the harbour and the users. And there's a huge amount of people using the harbour and a huge amount of people working on the harbour. So we have a lot of knowledge about what's going on in the harbour.
Well, you mentioned sea lettuce. How is the sea lettuce situation?
Oh, well, we had about 4 presentations of sea lettuce that comes and goes. Some years it's good and some years it's bad. We're continuing the scientific research. It is a natural occurring phenomenon, but it's no doubt that the discharges going into the harbour from our tributaries are causing some of it, and that makes us work better to stop that sediment and clean up our harbour.
So Professor David Shield from Canterbury University Marine Ecology Research Group, he said one of the toughest challenges that New Zealand faces is how we balance resource conservation and environmental protection versus resource use and economic growth. How does the Bay of Plenty Regional Council try to tackle this difficult situation in the Tauranga Harbour?
Well, yes, we had Professor Shields was up from Canterbury and does a very good job. Well, that's just by working with the community and it's doing exactly that, balancing the use of the harbour, and we will put necessary controls to see that people don't pollute the harbour, because the harbour is for the people. So we're just working with the people and balancing up the uses of the harbour, and remembering, of course, that we do have a commercial use of the harbour too.
And how do you balance that environment versus economic?
Well, by constantly monitoring, we have all the port and all the users of the harbours know that they have rules that they can't discharge into the harbour, and those rules are very rigidly enforced. And the boaties and the users of the harbour, whether it's the fishermen or residential or commercial, they all know the rules, and so they all look after the harbour.
He also talked about a very interesting study of kelp forests in California. What can we learn about that?
Well, we can learn that we don't make the assumptions too quickly. You have to make sure that your science is correct and that it's not a one-off. So yeah, it's a matter of balancing up the scientific approach with the actual approach and checking your sciences. And of course, we, with Professor David Battershall here from Waikato University, based right on our harbour edge, we're pretty certain that we won't make any mistakes about of what is going on.
What were some of the points that were raised from the Tauranga Moana iwi Collective?
Oh, they were only making up the points of how important the harbour is to iwi, that it is their food chain, their food sources. So and they're balancing up the spiritual use of the harbour, which naturally we respect their views.
So what has been revealed about the sedimentation in Tauranga Harbour?
Well, we know that the harbour over a period of time has been silting up, if you like, and that's the sediment coming down from the tributaries running into the stream. So we have to monitor all of that, and eventually we might have to do some dredging of the harbour to make sure that sediment doesn't continue. But it's more about putting in place the processes that on the tributaries leading into the harbour, so that we don't keep dumping sediment or environment that pushes sediment into the harbour all the time. So it's working. It's working with the community to make sure that doesn't happen.
Now we have some great community groups here in the Bay of Plenty. What do they say?
Oh, well, they say how enthusiastic they are with the harbour, and how great it was to have the symposium and actually to learn what the other groups are doing. It's often in cases like this, there's a lot of people working in isolation, and they think they're in isolation. There are other groups working to get them all together is something fantastic, and they all learn from each other, and we all learn from them, and overall it gives us a greater resolve to go forward with the harbour.
So what work has been done that actually stands out to you from the symposium?
Well, the sediment studies, and so we know all the tidal flows and we know where the sediment's building out. We know how much of the sediment comes and goes with the tide. A certain amount of the sediment comes in and is taken out and is washed out to sea, but a certain amount of it doesn't, and that moves further into the harbour and into spots in the harbour, and we know all that from our science and research. So we know the patterns of what's happening within the harbour.
What projects does the Bay of Plenty Regional Council have coming up for the harbour?
Well, we're continually working with the harbour. We're working with iwi on those projects, as is the Board of Tauranga, which is dealing with its harbour consent for the dredging there, and the restoration of the pipi beds. In our cases, we're looking at the tributaries and to go through the small streams by catchment to put in place and to make certain that we can prevent the siltation or the sediments coming into the harbour.
Visit boprc.gov.nz and follow the links if you would like to see any of the speakers' presentations. Just ahead, New Zealand Book Month. Welcome back. The month of March is New Zealand Book Month, and we spoke with a couple of local authors about their books and the industry. Tonight we chatted with Garth, who has just released his first book.
It's a teen fantasy, and it's about Cole Fletcher and his family, and they find themselves transported into Dreamtime. And into Dreamtime they have to go through the shimmer, which is a curtain of light full of colours and like the Northern Lights. And when they get there, he finds that there's the guardians that protect people in their dreams from dark creatures, and and he's got to find the power to try and defeat them because they threaten to take over.
Oh, it sounds interesting, because this is your first book. So what are you doing before you wrote?
Working and dreaming of writing. I read lots and I watch lots of stories on TV and movies, and just keep thinking, you know, I could do this. You know, what if all these things could happen? And I started writing down little bits and pieces on paper, and from that, these ideas came and sort of went into a story.
Wow. Because how did you come to the decision that you actually were going to start?
Well, I've started for a long time. I was 11 and I wrote a little pamphlet with cartoons and stories, and my sister still remembers Barney the Bullet, my little cartoon that I wrote. And then, at school I loved English and liked writing, and it wasn't until I got a few years ago that I started thinking, oh, I can do this. All my notes, I wrote lots of notebooks everywhere with lots of little stories in them. And my lady Trish, she says, come on, you can do this, sit down, start writing. And so I did. And it's been a lot of fun and a lot of hard work, but yeah.
How did you find that discipline of actually sitting down and writing in your spare time? Oh,
dreadful. There's far too many other things, but it was just so filling my head with all these ideas, and I thought, I've got to get this out, and even if it's just for myself, but I so enjoyed it, and I so enjoyed the characters and the story and putting it all together. Finding the time's hard, but that's really difficult. And you've got work and life and lots of other things going on. But yeah, it was really nice to be able to build it up and build it up.
Kind of a hobby that takes over.
It does. It does.
Now, people say the hardest thing is actually finding a publisher. You were saying before about J.K. Rowling being turned down 14 times. How did you find that process?
I was really lucky being in Tauranga. There's a writing group called Tauranga Writers, and they're really encouraging and supportive, and you take them on parts of your story and they can critique it, and they've been really good. And from that, there's Ocean Books, which is an online e-publishing and sort of printing, well, not printing, but, and they were formed from it, Tauranga Writers, and so I had those contacts. You've still got to put in the hard work and have it done properly, but they've been wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
We've heard a lot about them, they seem to be really... So where did you get the inspiration for your characters?
what I did was, through my readings, I found stories about ley lines, lines that circle the globe and intersect. And in those intersections, the ancient people believed that you could vanish. And I thought, oh, what if you could do that in your sleep? Suddenly you vanished from here and went to somewhere else. And that's where I thought, oh, but how did you get there? You know, and that was where I loved the Northern Lights, and it's one of my things I'd love to go and see. And so I thought, oh, maybe they went through that. And from that, because, you know, dreams are fascinating things, and I thought, yeah, so it sort of just built its way up into a story, and the characters came from all different places, but mainly up here. And I struggled a bit, you know, getting it all out, but it was just, I loved writing the characters and writing them down and saying, hey, look, this is his good bits, this is his bad bits, and this is what he'd do here. And yeah, it was. Now I've got a wall full of bits of paper.
Because it is going to be a trilogy, isn't it? So you're...
Yes. So the second one's already started, and the third one's all mapped out, and I've got the characters I love so much in it. I'm going to write stories about them as well. So yes, I've got a lot of work and a lot of fun exploring Dreamtime.
I mean, how do you... I mean, it sounds like such an imaginative book. How do you even start to imagine that and get into that process of trying to write it down in words in such a descriptive way that the reader will believe it, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot to do with what ifs, you know. If you can watch something, say, oh, what if this happened? And then you can just sort of add that, and then that just sort of leads to the next bit and next bit and next bit. And you know, the movies nowadays are so vivid, and even on TV it's so wonderfully, you know, The Lord of the Rings was just fantastic to watch. It was what I imagined as I read a book that it would be, and so that's what I wanted to write in here, something that I imagined and that people could see just how visual and wonderful and how they'd like to go there and enjoy.
So who is the book actually kind of targeted at?
Mainly 10 to 14-year-old boys, but you know, he has a sister Lily, who's the main character in it as well. But it's adventure, you know, that's the genre of books that I like, that young teen fiction books with lots of adventure and lots of, you know, kids running around being heroes and finding ways to defeat the baddies. And yeah, I love that sort of style of book. It's a lot of fun to read.
And Garth has kindly gifted us a copy of his book. If you would like to own Guardians of the Shimmer, visit tvcentral.co.nz and follow the links. Just ahead, rowing for Canteen. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. A couple of Utamotai students have started their own initiative to raise money for Canteen. The students were inspired to do something as they have all been affected by cancer. I spoke with the school and the students to find out about the fundraiser. So what is the Project Rowing Challenge?
A Project Rowing Challenge is a group of Utamotai College students trying to raise funds for Canteen New Zealand.
What is the actual aim of the Project Rowing Challenge?
The aim is to raise awareness about cancer overall, but also to raise funds for Canteen Cancer. It's an amazing cause that we're looking to raise funds for. Why did you actually choose Canteen?
The reason why we chose Canteen was because one of our absent members today, Courtney, her sister passed away from cancer quite a few years ago, and yeah, Canteen supported Courtney through the rough times, and yeah, she's been able to come out really good, so yeah, that's why we chose Canteen.
And how hard is it to actually register a charity?
Well, luckily we were able to fall under the umbrella of Canteen, so we're officially known as Canteen. So we're just a division of them, but it is quite hard. You've got to put a lot of time and effort in, and also a lot of your own money to get it going. And luckily, you need the team support to do it. And luckily, I've had my team members like Josh and Courtney and Lauren and the rest of the school to help us out to be able to get us there.
And there'll be a lot of legal stuff with there as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of legal work. It's a lot of range work, not just from like media and everything, but also if you want to do raffles and everything, you've got to be able to file requests and make sure you're following the correct standards. And if you go over them, you can get charged. So you've got to follow the correct standard when it comes to that.
Tell us about the rowing challenge itself.
So what's going to happen, we're going to get Lauren and Courtney, and they're going to be on the ergs for 6 hours in total in 3 sets of 2 hours with 10 minutes in between to get fluids up and stay focused, maybe eat an apple or something like that. And yes, they're going to be going most of the day, and we're going to be raising funds throughout the course of the day for cancer.
And what are the athletes actually doing to train for the event?
Well, the athletes, Courtney and Lauren, they're training 7 days a week with their college rowing team, since they are some really experienced rowers. Training 7 days a week with the college rowing team. They're working in all areas to make sure they are able to do this, and they're actually really ready to do it. They really want to take it on, so yeah.
What are your personal experiences with cancer?
Well, my personal experience was my mother, who had cancer when I was only 4. She fought it for quite a few years, and we were always up at the hospital with her when she was going through all the chemo treatment and everything. It's not a nice thing. And the rest of the team, with, like I said before, Courtney's sister had cancer and she passed away a few years ago. And Lauren's touch with cancer was her grandparents who fought cancer and also passed away.
Why do you think it is important that we do raise more awareness around cancer?
Well, there's a lot of people out there that do have cancer when people don't realise that, and it's really hard to go through cancer. And like I said before, I've watched my mother go through it, and it's not a nice thing. And they need the help of the community for them to be able to stay strong and fight against cancer.
How much are you hoping to raise?
Well, we hope to raise, upwards of $1 million, but we're going to be reasonable here, and we're looking to raise $5,000, but $10,000 would be a outstanding figure for the setup that we're doing.
And how can people, the general public, actually get involved?
Well, anyone looking to donate to this amazing cause can go and donate at the school office, at the Otamoto College office, and you can donate as much as you want. And the students will also be donating throughout the day. We'll have people going around. So there's a few ways that one can donate to this cause.
Well, all the best with making that $1 million.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So how is the school actually getting involved?
Well, when you have 2 young ladies come in, and they're juniors, come and see the principal with an initiative, you've got to support them, and I admire what they're doing. And so we gave them ideas, we worked out the school calendar, how it fits in, we gave them advice how to do spontaneous fundraising, either like, for example, a 1-minute challenge during the day, and then we gave them to Josh, the head boy, one of his responsibilities, and just, I think it's fantastic what they're doing.
And how proud are you of these students?
Oh, it's great. Even James, as a junior in the school, taking this initiative, getting our TV crew, and that's what life's about. Young people are inspirational these days. It's great.
If you would like to donate to the Students' Cause Canteen, you can donate at the Otamoto College reception. That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.